my people, how are you doing? I hope you're having a fantastic damn day. Obviously, we'll be doing a recap of what happened throughout the course of season number 2 of the West Brom career mode. Now, please hit that like button. Of course, it is a recap of everything that happened. All 46 games in the Championship, plus a few other games in the FA Cup and the League Cup and so on. But honestly, it was a largely successful season. I will say that. It was largely successful. I was very impressed with how the boys handled it. Of course, we made some new signings, we brought in some new faces, and probably all of them, I was very impressed with. Haksabanovic obviously being the standout signing of the second season. I mean, Riedewald was also pretty good himself, so I was very happy with that nonetheless. But, you know, just talking about the season and how things went on, obviously the disappointment from the second season was pretty... Yeah, it was a lot to take. I was very mad, I was very sad, I was very frustrated in certain moments, but it led to season number 2, and it was a massive success. Obviously going undefeated, going invincible, winning the championship, the Invincible Centurion Championship team. I mean, I'm quite happy with that. So, you know, there were some cons and some pros, and like life in general, it just works out in a very different way. So, like, honestly, in the second season, I expected to be in the Prem, but instead, opening game of the season, we were playing against Bournemouth. So, you know, it is what it is. But I will say this, it was probably better for us to be in the Championship for that second season. It allowed us to sign better players that can grow with the side, like Sanko and so on. And also it allowed us to, more or less on a smaller scale, prove that we can beat the Premier League sides. Obviously, the sides that did drop down, Bournemouth, Luton, and I can't remember the other team that did drop. But, you know, I was very happy with it. And in the second game, we scored an absolute blinder here, and that's my facial expressions after scoring a crazy bicycle kick in literally the second game of the season. Haksabanovic opening his account for the goals tally at the Hawthorns. So you know what? Very happy with that. Some of the goals we scored this season were absolute frenetic crackers. And you know what? We may have not have won the EFL or the FA Cup, but just in terms of the domestic competition of just the championship season itself, I mean, 46 games is an absolute behemoth of a season to go through. I think we fared very, very well. I mean, of course, it would have been nice to maybe add a trophy, and you'll see at a later stage in the season that because we didn't do so well in the FA Cup, the board were like, well, you know what, we might actually fire you. And there were some touch and go moments, but you know what, like, you live with the ups and you live with the downs. So, and Sanko coming onto the scene, busting onto the scene with a fantastic set of goals. I think he recorded a hat-trick in this game against Bristol City. Also, by the way, it was Bristol City, indeed he did get a hat-trick. It was Bristol City away from home, cool, in the not the FA Cup, the League Cup, and we're like, okay, cool. Play a hole, draw with them, of course, we scored some crackers, they scored some lucky ones, and we ended up with a 2-2 draw. But then we went back to Bristol City. It was like, it was just frustrating, honestly, it was. The travel, the boys, they were like, well, you know, it's a lot of traveling to do, and now we were having to face our exhaustion levels and so on. And after a 2-2 draw, especially in the last minute of the game, it was very demoralizing. And I was a bit worried throughout the course of the season with how the boys were playing, because in some episodes you'll see like we played very well, we scored like 5 goals a game, we absolutely battered teams off the park, and in other games, in other episodes, we struggled. I mean, I think it was just after the January transfer window, so we couldn't even make any transfers or try and, you know, fix the solution, or find a solution, I should say, fix the problem. We drew so many games after the January window, or it might have been in the January window, I can't really remember, but we drew so many games, and it was because like we would find ourselves down by a goal or two, and then we would have to, you know, propel ourselves and work extra hard to get back into it. And I'm hoping that for the new season that's coming out this weekend, so be able to check it out, I'm hoping that, you know, the boys, they remain, you know, focused at all times throughout the course of the season, because obviously we are in the Prem for next year, so I'm very excited about that. Very excited to get underway with the recordings of season number 3. But anyway, we're talking about season number 2 though. And I will say this though, we showed a lot of ourselves, especially in these first few games. Sanko was incredible. He honestly could probably be my favorite player for the career mode going forward. Obviously, if we sell him, that would be sad. But I'm pretty sure he's a former Barcelona product. He used to play for Barcelona, was in the La Masia academy. He is Dutch, of course. And again, like I said earlier, because we didn't make it to the Prem, it allowed us to go ahead and sign a player like Sanko and give him game time and watch him progress and grow to potentially be a cornerstone for this career mode. Because obviously, if you make it to the Prem, you're not really looking to try and sign a 70. No, was he 70? I can't even remember his rating. It was like 60 something, and he's grown to around a 74, 75. But you're not really looking to add a striker like that to your Premier League side. So you know what, as the career mode will progress, we'll see that in turn, inevitably, the second season was actually the most important, because it allowed us to sign those smaller players, those lesser players, and then grow them into the better players of the career mode, if that makes sense. Obviously, we ended up signing Dan Ballard on deadline day, which was quite nice. I do like Dan Ballard, although he does make mistakes, and that does frustrate me. But again, that episode ended, we signed Dan Ballard, but I thought we needed something extra, something in the midfield. And you know what? I signed Ovi Ejaria, and throughout the course of this season, he will prove, and you guys will see, he'll prove to be an absolute seal as a free agent signing, because the goals he scored, the crackers he smashed, and the contributions he made to the team were amazing. And yeah, I've just realized we drew with damn near Swansea City 1-1. But anyway, moving into the month of October though, we've got Man City. Very tough. Obviously, we beat them last season in I think it may have been the FA Cup. We ended up, battering Newcastle, destroying Man City. When I say destroying, I mean we beat them 1-0. And you could see Pep was very motivated to, stamp his authority on West Brom. And honestly, he put out his best goddamn team. Erling Haaland said, "I'm not having this." Smashed home a crazy goal. I don't know what else I could do. Even looking at that footage right now, there's nothing I could have done better to then, prevent him from scoring the goal. And anyways, but anyway, we managed to get back in the game, 2-2. It was all there to play for. We had opportunities, but of course, Alvarez late on in the game, he ended up smashing it home for a 3-2 win at the Hawthorns. It did suck, but again, we weren't focused on the League Cup. We weren't. We were focused on the Championship. And even though we had lost to City, we still showed ourselves to the world, gave a good account of ourselves, and it still, propelled us up with a bit of confidence, because we scored some absolute worldies with Yokeshlu from distance, outside of the foot, Trevella shot. I must say, I was a bit heartbroken with the way Yokeshlu's season ended. Obviously, last season number 1, he was fantastic. He was scoring goals off corners. I think he recorded around 19 goals. A lot of them were off of corners, yes. But just the way that he was playing in the second season, I had to replace him in the starting lineup. And it was in the back end of the season as well. And we obviously ended up selling him as well to, I think it was Fenerbahce. But yeah, it is what it is. You grow with some players, you have to then let them go at some point. So it was about that time to let Yokeshlu go. Of course, we also extended him, so we were able to capitalize on his value in the transfer market as well. But I will say, we were absolutely destroying teams at this moment in time, putting 5 past Stoke City, scoring hat-tricks. Colin Grant proving again to be such an influential sub off the bench, sometimes starting games and battering teams, helping us batter teams. And through the first 12 games of the season, 9 wins, 3 draws. And to be honest, those 3 draws I felt were very unjust. We were 3 points ahead of second place Sheffield United. That was the other team that got relegated, Sheffield United. And we do have 1 or 2 of their players that I am tempted to sign for the 3rd season. And as I was saying earlier, Ejaria, first goal for the club, absolute leathers it, top bins. I don't think you can score a better debut goal for your new club. And look at this, that's what, 27, 30 yards out, puts it in the top bins. Finesse it as well, that was incredible. Great goal for him. But yeah, just having a look at how we were playing, and I was very happy. We were battering teams, top of the league. That's exactly what we wanted. And I must say, it was more of a personal thing of, I should have been promoted, and I'm trying to prove myself that I can get out of the Championship. And obviously, like I said earlier, we ended up going invincible. We ended up going or undefeated, 100 plus points, making sure that when teams were ahead, they had to look over their shoulders. And more times than not, we managed to claw ourselves back into games and not Ejaria, my bad, Josh Maja with the second hat-trick of the season. And just going through some of this stuff now, Sanko obviously leading the way with 11 goals, Maja with 9, Haksabanovic also getting on the score sheet a fair amount. Jed Wallace, though, with 10 assists. That's not bad. And you will see at the end of the season, like, he ends up with a crazy amount. I think it's like 33 or 34 assists, which is amazing. And I will say this as well, Connor Bradley, our first signing of the career mode, officially our first signing. He was a pre-signing from Liverpool. He is probably also up there with Sanko in terms of how much I enjoy using them and love playing with them, and I want to build a team around them, and I think we can definitely do so. But against Blackpool, very hard team, low block, hard to break down, hard to get those runners between the lines and behind the defense, and it took a moment of magic from Captain Jed Wallace outside of the foot, off the crossbar, and essentially that just opened up the floodgates and allowed us to just score goal after goal after goal. And you normally find that with teams when they play that low block. It takes that first goal to go in, and then all of a sudden it's Floodgates FC. And again, a well-worked set piece here to end off the game. Carlin Grant running onto it, smashing it home, bottom corner. Goalkeeper could not get anywhere goddamn near it. I love that goal, actually. There are some like very average-looking goals that you guys might be like, oh, it's so average. But for me personally, like creating those opportunities and scoring those chances, that was like the best bit for me. And then, oh my god, actually looking at this again. The way we scammed a win against Luton Town at Kenilworth Road, they battered us, absolutely battered us in the first half. Obviously, we didn't have a lot of our players. We had to rotate because they'd gone away on international duty. So we had to play the likes of Simon Moore in goal, a 67 overall goalkeeper, and he made incredible saves in that first half. I think he made like 8 or 9 saves, point blank saves. Like their XG was like 3 or 4. If I'm remembering correctly, and Simon Moore ended up keeping us in the game, and then we ended up scoring 3 goals in the second half, and it was a proper Jose Mourinho type smash and grab. But yes, and then obviously like I was tinkering with the formation and the squad and who fits in here and there, and obviously I had ended up changing the likes of Adam Reach to that right midfielder. Of course, he is left-footed naturally, so he can shift onto that left foot. And against Ipswich, he came into the side. We were like somewhat struggling for a little bit of form here, a little bit of consistency. Came into the side, elevated us to the max. We were playing fantastic football. Him scoring 2 goals in his first start for the club in God knows how long. And we ended up, winning 4-2 and going obviously a lot more points clear of second place, 8 to be precise. And then it was time to give out extensions. We extended the likes of John Swift, even though we would sell him. In the January window, ended up, extending Yokashlu, like I said, and Yokashlu had a crucial importance to the squad, and it just felt like he wasn't doing enough for the amounts of money we were paying him, and obviously he was getting up there in age. But I will say this though, Grady Diangana, fantastic player, was I was on the fence with him a bit, especially after like the first season where he didn't really prove himself as well. And then after the extension, it just gave him a bit more, reassurance of his future. And you could see he started playing a lot better. He started getting on the score sheet a bit more in front of goal. He wasn't having those crazy misses, and I appreciated that. And obviously, it elevated his value. So when we do sell him, he will have quite a bit of value to go behind him. I'm not exactly sure just yet if we do sell him though. I do like Grady. He does have a real face. It is quite nice to keep him. But I am on the fence with it. Obviously, I'm trying to, for the third season, I'm just going to let you guys in on a little secret. But for the third season, I don't want to have the biggest squad. I want to have around 25 players or so in the squad, have a good rotational system in play, making sure that all the players are kept happy. Because obviously, we don't have European football. We don't have to worry too much about the FA Cup or the League Cup. It's all about staying in the Prem and making sure that, we don't get relegated. And so that's the thoughts and train ideas behind season number 3 at least. And I will say this, just having a look at this as well, that was an absolute utter mistake. I didn't even mean to push L2 and shoot, and he's gone and done a crazy Mario Balotelli against Sunderland. Very disrespectful, Sanko, but I appreciate that nonetheless. We absolutely battered Sunderland, I will say that. Cracked them over the head, gave them 5 across the face. They ended up scoring, which kind of, added a bit of a dampener on the situation, but I was happy nonetheless. And yeah, it was around this time we were going to be heading into the January window. I was looking for like potential targets to look at, and I was looking at the free agents, and that's when I came across a few players like Morley and Potts and so on, where I think that not for the right now, but for season 4, maybe even season 5, there will be influential players to this team. Of course, obviously the more you progress in the career mode, the older players retire and it becomes more and more computer generated players. So if you can find them early on in your career mode and then nurture them and grow them and make sure that they're doing well, I think it's more beneficial, especially if you are planning to have a long career mode. And I don't know how long the West Brom career mode will be going for. I'm having fun. I hope you guys are enjoying the content. But for the meantime, I think, you know what, it's I don't want to put a time limit on it, but I'm enjoying it. I am absolutely thoroughly enjoying it. And I will say it was a bit of a bonehead move from yours truly, just sweeping the leg of, I think it's Cormac, and getting a red card. 4-0 up, by the way. We could have sacrificed going or conceding a goal and like conceding the clean sheet, but I decided, you know what, take matters into your own hands. Connor Bradley absolutely break the legs of Cormac. And as you can see here, the January window had opened up. We didn't have that much money to play with. Obviously, we started the season off with around 21 million or so. So we didn't have a lot of money after, making all the signings and whatnot. So I decided, you know what, look at the free agents, and that's where I found like Morley and Potts and Joshua. Centre backs, of course, left-footed centre backs with some really good badges to go with them. I was very impressed with, is it Joshua? I can't remember now. I loaned him out. But regardless, I was very impressed. And, the idea that in 2 or 3, maybe even 4 seasons' time, he might be this superstar free agent, that signing that we made, it does, make me very happy. And against Luton, we were 2-0 down late on, ended up scoring 2 late goals to rescue ourselves, rescue the undefeated season. But yeah, it was around this time where I was very, very, very like frustrated with how the team was playing, and I was like contemplating switching up tactics, and we will see that at a later stage where I do end up, changing the tactics to the 4-2-2 formation. And to be honest, from then on out, I didn't look back. I did not look back. And then obviously signing the free agents, the likes of Will Neal and so on. He was also included in that batch of free agent signings. All 18 years of age. And I decided it was probably better for us to loan them out, get them a bit more game time, because they weren't really going to get game time. The likes of Will Neal and Morley and so on, they weren't going to start over the likes of Haksabanovic and co. So loan them out to other championship teams or League One sides, I guess, and get them a bit more game time here and there. So yeah, anyway, that was the plan, growing the youth for tomorrow, making sure that they can get the good experience for that good growth. And up against Blackpool, 3-1 winners, absolutely cracking them through the side of the head there with Sanko goals. And this is where we signed big man Jack Potts. Now I think he is going to be up there in terms of what he can do for us in the future. I think he's going to help us win the Champions League, people. The Baggies are going to win the Champions League. You heard it here in the recap of season number 2. That is the plan. Champions League football, and win it eventually. Win big years before Arsenal can. That would be fantastic. Against Middlesbrough, Michael Carrick's boys. Up against Will Neal, although I don't think he played. I can't remember if he did play or not. But anyway, nonetheless, we absolutely ran out winners. 4-0 on the day, and a debut goal for Jack Potts. Came on as a late sub, and he put it in the top net. That is my favorite goal. We scored bicycle kicks, we scored scissors kicks, we scored some crazy crossing goals. But that goal, it reminds me of Bruno Fernandes a few years ago up against Newcastle at St. James's Park. Like, he literally just curls it into the top corner, like top corner. Like, from that angle as well, it was something of amazingness. I had to watch those replays over and over and over again. Like, fantastic. Ended up beating Michael Carrick's boys. And then I decided, you know what, with the likes of Jack Potts coming in, that goal alone probably sealed the fate of John Swift. The likes of Feyenoord came in for Swifty. So I decided, you know what, let's go with Jack Potts. Let's see what he can do for the rest of the season. And we sold John Swift for around, I think it was 8 million or 7 million or something like that. And he ended up leaving, which was a bit sad because he had offered us so much going forward. But you know what? new eras come, old eras need to go. And up against the likes of Southampton in the FA Cup. And this was the game that more or less put us under so much stress from the board, because obviously the winless run against Southampton continued up until this point. They ended up beating us at St. Mary's. And yeah, like the board were like, whoa, you didn't get to the round of 16, we're going to fire you, which was very frustrating for me, ending up 2-1 losers on the day. And of course, I wanted to beat Southampton. Like, you have no idea how bad. I just wanted to. Oh, it was frustrating. And against Stoke, we found ourselves in the lead. And then I put the highlights in there for Dan Ballard, because you'll see it's a running theme that Dan Ballard just gives away weird penalties, or the game just allows Dan Ballard to make silly fouls in the box, or it calls weird fouls. And late on in this one, 70 minutes gone, 3-1 losers at this point in the game. We were staring down the barrel of defeat. And late on in this one, we nicked 2 very, very late goals, with Malumbi popping up with the goods in the dying moments of the game to rescue us and have a draw, 3-3. Up against the likes of Preston North End, of course, for those of you who don't know, my absolute bogey team. They were 2-0 up. They were 2-0 up late on in this one. We ended up emptying the bench. Fauna came on. What a signing Fauna has been for us. Pops up with some really good goals. Fauna there. 2-1, and then late on again, back-to-back times, moments this season where we were rescued and we kept our undefeated season alive. But with all those points dropped, we had drawn 9 games out of the 30 we had played. We were only 7 points clear of second place. So I decided, let's switch things up. Let's change the tactics to a front 2 system, the 4-2-2. And to be honest, this was the little bit of extra motivation that the boys needed. The dual striker teamwork up front, it absolutely helped us butcher teams. I mean, what a debut to have up against the likes of Southampton, where we put 5 past them at St. Mary's, destroyed them, ran riot on them. The first half, yes, it was slightly cagey. It was a very close affair. But the second half, we ran out absolute winners. I was very proud of the boys. Obviously, they ended up beating us in the FA Cup. And like I say, putting a lot of pressure on the board to potentially sack us. But again, we were undefeated in the season. We were scoring goals for fun at this point. And I decided to not let the board's pressure get to me, or the rest of the team. And as you can see here, Grady Diangana up against Bournemouth. Like, this run of fixtures was going to make or break our season. Southampton multiple times, Bournemouth multiple times. The board on our ass, like the board rating of me, I think the manager rating was around 48, 50, somewhere there. But yes, they were very much, it was the run that could have made or broken our season. And good thing for us, the team held strong. They proved they're not mentally fragile. They were able to string together multiple wins, keep the pressure off of their manager, yours truly. And we were just able to keep it going. And against Leeds at Elland Road, 1-0 up, quite happy with it. And yeah, Dan Ballard. I don't understand why it was a red though, just looking back at it. There was 2 defenders there. There was 2. Dan Ballard trips the man. It could be, it's more of a yellow card than anything, because my other defender in Lloyd Kelly is going to catch their striker. So anyway, we were down to 10 men. We held strong in this 4-2-2 formation. Obviously, we had to tweak a few things, but we ended up going 2 goals in front. Now, if this was last season, 1, we probably concede 3 off the bat after conceding that red card. And 2, in this moment here, when they score a fantastic cross from Wober, a fantastic cross into Wober, we would have crumbled here as well. So just proving our, insane mental ability to beat the opposition before the game is even played at times. And obviously we're flying through the games now as the back end of the season comes to a close. Sunderland, I feel bad for Sunderland because they have a very good team, they have a very good structure, but I always seem to just absolutely smoke them. And I also decided, going into next season, we're going to obviously need to free up some space in the squad. Like I said earlier, the plan is to have a smaller squad. So it meant that the likes of Adam Reach and co, they probably needed to go. Yakashlu, we got a big offer in from him, from Fenerbahce. So again, we were looking to accept those deals. Obviously, Reach, I really enjoyed using him, especially in the second season more than the first. but making him that right midfielder was fantastic. He proved himself tenfold. And the offer for Yokushu did come in from Fenerbahce. They offered Emre Mor, who I am a big fan of. I'm sad that his career hasn't worked out the way it should have. And I was seriously contemplating it, but I saw that his age was 27. He didn't really fit the style of play that I was looking for. So I decided, you know what, let's go in with a 7 or a 6 million pound offer. They can, sort it out and he can go because he's going back to Turkey. Of course, he's a Turkish international and whatnot. And they ended up coming back with like an 8 or a 9 million pound offer. And I was like, say less, accept, cool, done, signed, delivered, sealed, cool. So yeah, we were slowly but surely like getting rid of some of the players that had somewhat underperformed at the back end of the season. And like I say, it's more about freeing up some space. And Maja was potentially a player that I was thinking of, putting on the transfer list. I was thinking about it. And honestly, the form that he ended off the season with, I was like, no, actually, I can't do that. And also, I had planned more or less who I'm trying to sign and how the structure is going to work. And a new striker probably isn't going to be in the works for the new season. I'm quite happy with Sanko and Maja fighting it out for that starting number 9 role. And yeah, it was also around this time where Maja was like really carrying the boys and helping us, get those wins over the line and get the draws, the much needed draws in certain moments. And yeah, it would just mean that we would run out winners with 3 games to spare in the championship season. And I did say this in the video, but I've never actually won the championship. Never, ever. I've always come second or gained promotion through the playoffs. I've never actually come first and won the trophy, and it was a bit frustrating. They didn't even goddamn show the trophy, but nonetheless, it was fine. It was okay. Moving on to the final episode now, of course, the likes of Watford starting off against him. A very tough game, I would have thought. But Vice-Captain Lloyd Kelly had something to say about that because we did shift him over to that left midfielder role. Oh, sorry, not left midfielder, the left back role. And he was absolutely incredible. Maybe, potentially next season, we sign another centre back and Lloyd Kelly plays as the left back. I'm not sure just yet. I'm still in the process of deciding that. But I was very impressed. I mean, he scored a hat-trick as a defender, guys. And not just as like a Trent Alexander-Arnold running on, consistently looking to get in the attacking phase of things. He scored 1 goal as a centre-back and he scored 2 goals as a full-back. And yes, one of them he was very much involved. But other than that, it was a very much a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a centre-back to score a hat-trick. Anyway, moving on though to Blackburn. They were a tricky game. They were a very tricky game. And it was at this moment where I was like, you know what? We might not actually be able to get our mark of 120 points because that was very achievable in the beginning of the episode, just having a look at the games and whatnot. And later on in this one, super sub Colin Grant comes off the bench and scores a fantastic 3rd goal for us to seal the 3 points and send us into 117 points. Obviously breaking the championship record. I did say this in the video, but I wasn't sure. I had Googled it and it said that the championship record was set by Reading in 2005 or 2006. And it was set at like 106 or 7 points. And obviously, we finished the season off with 120, which has got to be the record at this point. So obviously, gaining automatic promotion, going undefeated in the season. Like I said earlier when we had a look, 9 draws. We didn't draw a single game after that. So, fantastic if you ask me. Bayer Leverkusen ended up beating Arsenal in the Champions League final. Still no major European trophy for them. In the Europa League, Fenerbahce, Yokushu's new side, ended up winning that. And then for the Conference League, I can't actually remember who won the Conference League, but regardless, they were very good. Oh, it was Hoffenheim. But yes, guys, obviously, we are going to end off the recap right here, right now. If you have enjoyed this, please smash that like button. Stay tuned for season number 3. And of course, I hope you have a damn great day. I'm out!